Welcome to the 9th chapter of the book of Daniel. The time in this chapter has gone forward from the last chapter of King Baltasar of Babylon to Darius, here in the first proto-year of Darius, the son of Asuriu, from the spermatos, seed, sperm, it comes from that of the Medes, who Vasilevson reigned, the basil plant is a derivative, over the kingdom of the Chaldeans. So the kingdom of the Chaldeans was in Babylon, and apparently the Persian or the Medes had attacked and conquered Babylon, took over, and Darius became a ruler in Babylon. And it says, Daniel continues, in year one of his kingdom, ego, it comes from that, an ego, my ego. Daniel perceived in the Vivlis, in the books, the arithmon, arithmetic comes from that word, the number of the years of which the word, the logos of the Lord became to Jeremiah the prophet for a fulfillment of the desolation of Jerusalem. 70 years. Now, what is he talking about here? If you go to Jeremiah 25:11-12, it says, "And all the land will be for extinction, and these nations shall serve to the king of Babylon 70 years. And to the fulfilling the 70 years, I will take vengeance upon the king of Babylon and upon that nation of their unrighteousness." Jeremiah 25:11-12. And then, "For thus said the Lord, whenever 70 years are about to be filled in Babylon, I will visit you, and I will set my words upon you to return your people unto this place." And that's Jeremiah 29:10. So Daniel knows about this writing of Jeremiah. He's contemplating that, perceived it, feeling that Jerusalem would be rebuilt. But before that, he says, "And I put my face towards the Lord God," probably towards the west, towards Jerusalem, "to inquire by prayer and supplication in fasting and sackcloth," sacco, it comes from that, "and ashes." This was a serious repentance. It's one thing just to pray and get down on your knees and spend a couple of minutes and ask for certain things, but in fasting, it's different. I fasted, made fun of these two fellows that were fasting. I said, "How long have you been fasting?" I said, 2 days. "Ah, ha, 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 that's nothing." And I tried it, and it was like I failed. So the fasting and then wearing this sackcloth, which is like burlap, very rough, and putting ashes all over, feeling dirty. I suppose that is part of the process of being miserable and being dirty and realizing how much lacking you are without God. And I prayed to the Lord my God and made acknowledgement and said, "O Lord, the great and wonderful God, the one keeping your covenant and the mercy to the ones loving you and to the ones keeping your commandments." That's the key, is the keeping the commandments of God. And he is, buttering God up. He's saying how great and wonderful God is, and hopefully these things that he was stating about God would help get him, allow him to receive the things that he's praying for. He wouldn't sit there and say bad things. "Oh, you're not a very good person. You're probably not going to answer this prayer," and so forth. No. So he was doing the best he could, the best he knew how. And he said then in admitting the faults of the people, he has this speech and prayer. It says, "We sinned." Israel, Judah, the whole nation, we sinned, the people. We did wrong, broke laws, basically. A diki has to do with judicial. It's a judicial word. Sinning is missing the mark. We didn't do what we were supposed to, and we, in fact, broke the law. We were impious even. We didn't give you the respect that was due to you, made fun, said that, you weren't God, and all sorts of things that you read about when you read into the Kings, the book of 1st and 2nd Kings and Chronicles. And we left and turned aside from your commandments. They left and followed other gods, idols, and turned aside from your commandments. Didn't want to have anything to do with it. They didn't keep the feasts, because when the temple was being cleansed, the people that were cleaning it found the scroll of the law, brought it to the king, and he read it and realized that they hadn't done any of these things. So he had a Passover. They celebrated the Passover the first time for maybe 100 years. In 6, and we listened not to your bondmen, the prophets, speaking in your name to our kings and our rulers and our fathers and to all the people of the land. Well, who else didn't they listen to? There was a man, God, Jesus Christ, who came and he told them things that they should hear, the bondmen, and he was a prophet, but he was the Messiah. And he was speaking in God's name to the kings, and he spoke to the people and the rulers and so forth, and our fathers, the Sadducees and the Pharisees, and then to all the people of the land. He talked about them. So this condemnation of these people here, that Daniel is condemning them, I think they were condemned by Christ, and they were sent again. They were dispersed from the country, and 2,000 years they were dispersed. Jerusalem has become re-inhabited by the Jews coming from all over the world. But do they believe in Jesus? No. Basically, they don't. They're rejecting him, and a very ungodly country as far as homosexual, I don't know what you call it, a festival in Tel Aviv lasts for days, and they are not even close to being anything to do with Christians or Christ. So therefore, today, I believe they're in the same position that they were when Daniel wrote, you listen not to your bondmen, the prophets. They didn't listen then. They didn't listen when Jesus came, and they're not listening now. A tremendous condemnation on these people. But as we go, it's not just my condemnation. The condemnation through God is enough, and if it's anti-Semitic, what things I'm saying, then God is anti-Semitic, because he's the one that's now saying, and because Daniel admits it. To you, O Lord, is righteousness, and to us the shame of face, as this day, to the man of Judah, and to the ones dwelling Jerusalem, and to all Israel, to the ones near and to the ones far off, in all the earth, of which you dispersed them there. For their rebellion, in which they annulled covenant with you, O Lord, they rebelled. They rebelled and went to Babylon. They rebelled in the Roman dispersion, sent them out. And I believe there's a rebellion going on right now. I believe Israel will be, Jerusalem will be destroyed to a certain amount. And we'll get into that a little bit later in this chapter, how I come up to that conclusion. And he continues and he says, to us, shame of face, and to our kings and to our rulers. Well, how about Pontius Pilate and Herod, the rulers in the synagogues at the time of Christ? And to our fathers who sinned against you, and they're still sinned after Daniel here. To the Lord our God are the compassions and the atonements, for we separated from the Lord. Yes, Jesus was sent for his compassion to the Jews and his people, and he was the atonement for them. God is a God of compassion and atonement for the separated people, but yet they continued in their separation and did not listen to Jesus. And it says here, and we hearken not to the voice of the Lord our God. They didn't listen to Jesus either. To go by his laws. The law of Christ was to love each other, one another, as you would yourself, which he executed before our face by his hands of his bondmen, the prophets. And God sent the prophets, and these people didn't listen. The prophets, Isaiah, Jeremiah, Ezekiel, and then all the Hosea, Joel, Amos, Obadiah, Jonah, Micah, Nahum, Habakkuk, Zephaniah, Haggai, Zechariah, Malachi, and others. They didn't listen to them, and they killed some of them and beat them and so forth, treated them horribly, Jeremiah especially. And all Israel violated your law and turned aside to not hearken to your voice. Well, how much more can it be the same today? That Israel has violated the law. They're not obeying any law of the Bible. There's no temple, there's no sacrifices, there's none of that, and they're not listening to the things of God, doing what they want, and destruction is coming. And there came upon us the curse and the oath, having been written in the law of Moses, the bondman of God. What is he talking about, the curses? If you go to Deuteronomy, it's long it's in Deuteronomy chapter 28, 15 to 68. And the curses on Mount Ebal, and way longer. The curses were way more than the blessings. And so the curses that they cursed, they also put the curse mainly upon themselves. Well, the curse was that when they were going to crucify Jesus, they said, "The blood be upon us and our children." They put the curse upon themselves, and some would like to water that down and say it was only for that generation. But that's just not the case, because that usage is over and over appears in the Old Testament. If that was the case, then there wouldn't be any children doing things, blessings on the children, because the children of the children, because if that was the case, that this was only one generation, then the blessings are only one generation, which of course it's not. And of course this is not. The curse they put upon themselves for their children, all times, basically. And so the curse is upon Israel by themselves. And the oath having been written in the law of Moses, the bondman of our God, for we sinned against him, as against God. And he established his words, which he spoke against us and against our kritos. A critic comes from that, a judge. Our judge is judging us. For him to bring upon us megala kaka megala, great mega, and kaka is bad evil, such as have not taken place underneath all the heaven. Wow. They were annihilated, sent out throughout the world, and according to the things taking place in Jerusalem. And it continues today. It continued in the time of Jesus. And in the New Testament here, it goes into Jesus saying, "Jerusalem, Jerusalem, the one killing the prophets and stoning the ones sent to her." And that was right at the time of Jesus, killed John the Baptist. "How often I wanted to assemble your children, in which manner a hen assembles her nestlings under the wings, and you wanted not." That's the thing. They don't want the things of God. Unbelievable. "Behold, your house is left to you desolate. For I say to you, in no way should you behold me from now until whenever you should say, being blessed is the one coming in the name of the Lord." Jerusalem today is not the place. It is not going to see God. I believe it's going to be destroyed. And we will, and I'll show you how I come to that conclusion here later in this chapter. It's fairly simple. As was written in the law of Moses, all these evils came upon us. And you can read those, Mount Ebal, as I was mentioning in Deuteronomy 28. "And we besought not the face of the Lord our God, to turn from our iniquities and to perceive in all truth. They didn't want to get rid of, change from the iniquities that they were doing when Jesus came and to listen to the truth. And today they're not turning from the iniquities and they're not listening to the truth. Jesus says, I am the way, the truth, and the life. And the Lord our God was vigilant against the evil. He's not going to put up with it. And brought them upon us. He's going to do it again. For the Lord our God is just in all his doing which he did. He's just. Everything he's done is just. And when Jesus was crucified and the things that happened, he was just. He eliminated Jerusalem and sent these people throughout the world. And something like that is going to happen again. And we hearkened not to his voice. And they still don't hear the voice. And now, O Lord our God, who led your people from out of the land of Egypt, by a fortified hand, by his strength and miracles, you made for yourself a name. People know the God of Israel, and the God of Israel is still the God of Israel. And he'll always be the God of Israel, good or bad. As it is this day, we sinned, we acted lawlessly, we transgressed. It's a complete, everything he's saying is anti-Semitic. If you would look at this, and if I was saying it without bringing the Bible in, it's showing you that it was God and the old Daniel, the prophet, that was saying it. If I said these things in condemnation of some sort, I would be classified as anti-Semitic and probably maybe banned from the internet. I don't know. But, O Lord, in all your charity, Elimosini, helping, giving money to people as charity, and giving us things. Turn indeed your rage and your anger from your city, Jerusalem. And I would pray the same thing, that he would turn it. Your holy mountain, but he didn't turn it, he destroyed it. For we sinned in our iniquities and of the ones of our fathers. Jerusalem and your people became for scorn, and they still are for scorn. People all over the world want to destroy Jerusalem today. They hate it, and it's a scorn to the many nations and many peoples, not just Muslims and people right around there, but all over, among all the ones surrounding us. And now hearken, O Lord, our God, of the prayer of your bondman, and Daniel, and his supplications. Oh, God, please listen to the things. Hearken to me, and let your face appear upon your sanctified place, the deserted one, because of you, O Lord. And so he did. He brought it back, and what happened? They rejected Christ, and he destroyed it again, and they haven't changed, and it's going to be destroyed again. Lean, O my God, your ear, and hearken. In the imperative, lean, recline, clean on, climb, recline comes from that. My God, your ear, and hearken. And open your eyes and behold our extinction. Look at we're extinct. We're going to be gone. And the one of your city upon which your name is called upon it. And Jerusalem, it's destroyed. I mean, look upon all this. This is terrible. Lord, can you do something? For not upon our righteousness we toss our compassion before you, but upon your great compassions. So he realizes it's not their righteousness. They can't do anything, but they didn't learn. The Pharisees and the Sadducees were all about their righteousness. And so they didn't even learn that after Daniel and all of these things that he said, they haven't learned yet. Hearken, O Lord, again, imperative, atone, which he did, O Lord, with Jesus. Take heed, O Lord, act. And he has done all these things. And do not delay for your sake, O Lord, my God. For your name is called upon your city and upon your people. And yet the scorn is on Israel and the Jews yet today. It has been for 2,000 years. And yet during my speaking and praying and declaring openly my sins and the sins of my people Israel, and tossing my desire for mercy before the Lord my God concerning the holy mountain of my God, that yet during my speaking in the prayer, that behold, the man Gabriel appeared, whom I beheld in the vision at the beginning flying. Now here it does call him the man, Gabriel, but we know he's an angel. Gabriel appeared in Luke 1:19 to Zacharias, and he says, I'm Gabriel, the one in the Holy of Holies. I'm Gabriel, the one standing in the presence of God, and was sent to speak to you and to announce good news for you, these things. So he told Zechariah the thing of John the Baptist and the Messiah was coming and so forth. And then in Luke 1:26, the same chapter, it says, And in the 6th month the angel Gabriel was sent by God unto a city of Galilee with the name Nazareth, to a virgin being espoused to a man whose name was Joseph. And Gabriel told Mary the things that were going to happen to her. And Gabriel, and he touched me about the evening sacrifice. And he brought understanding to me, and spoke with me, and said, O Daniel, now I came forth to instruct you for understanding. So now the understanding is going to be given. It's different than that or earlier when Daniel realized the things of Jeremiah. This basically now doesn't have anything to do with Jeremiah, and it's a different situation and circumstances. Now we go into what Gabriel has to say to Daniel concerning things, and it says, In the beginning of your supplication, the word went forth, and I came to announce to you, just as he did with Zacharias and Mary. For you are a man desired, as Zacharias was, and Mary was a woman. And now reflect in the matter and perceive in the apparition. So we should be doing the same thing. Now, I'm going to read something in the New Testament that will apply to this whole thing, and it'll be brought out at the last verse of this chapter, but we're going back to Matthew 24:15 with Jesus, and Jesus said, Whenever you should behold the abomination of the desolation, a future event, he's not talking about the one in the past, the thing having been spoken through Daniel the prophet, standing in the holy place. That's Matthew 24:15. Whenever you should see it, because they want to know when the end was. So now he's telling them in the future, so it couldn't possibly been something that had already happened. And he says the same thing basically in Mark 13:14. And whenever you should behold the abomination of desolation, a future event, the thing having been spoken by Daniel the prophet, standing where it must not, then flee, and all these different things. So the point is that this abomination is a future event from Jesus. So it could not have happened before Jesus. So now, and we'll see that later here in this, it makes sense. So just keep that in mind. Now, reflect in the matter, think about it, and perceive in the apparition. So all these things that he's saying. Now, some people think a lot of this has already happened, and they give this big diatribe of Antiochus Epiphanes coming in and sacrificing in the temple, all kinds of things, and people have written books on all of this period of time, and a lot of preachers in this in the latter part of the 20th century went along with their ideas and put Israel up on a pedestal as some great, wonderful place that God is now going to do this wonderful thing. And here it's not at all. It's a worse condition than it was when it was destroyed by Nebuchadnezzar and then later by the Romans. So reflect and perceive in this apparition. 70 periods of 7 were rendered concise upon your people. Now, it's not the past 70 years. It's talking about a period that's going to happen of your people and upon the holy city. What? Why is it not the old one? What? To finish off sin. It wasn't finished off sin. Yeah, sin wasn't finished off by these periods of time that it's talking about. It hasn't happened. There's still sin today, and worse off than ever, probably. and to set a seal upon sins. Well, sins have not had a seal upon them. People are sinning. Great. In Tel Aviv, homosexuals having a festival. So, and to wipe out lawless deeds. Well, the lawless deeds have not been wiped out. There's all types of lawlessness in Israel. And to atone for iniquities. Well, there's a partial atonement if you believe in Jesus, and he is the atonement, but it's not a complete atonement for the whole of Israel. And to bring eternal righteousness. Well, there's no way that has happened. It hasn't happened yet today. There's no eternal righteousness. It's something in the future. And to set a seal upon vision and prophecy. Well, there was no seal set on the vision and prophecy. John, the writer of the book of Revelation, had visions and prophecy, so there was no set seal in the past, and before Jesus and even after, and to anoint the Holy of Holies. Well, there's no Holy of Holies today. There's no temple, so these things couldn't possibly have happened yet. They're all in the future. Everything here is in the future. And you shall know and perceive from the delivery of the word to respond and to rebuild Jerusalem until the anointed one leading, 7 periods of 7. Okay? Now, a lot of people have taught, well, that's Jesus, the Christou, but it's not. It's the Christon, the anointed one, because in 26, it says that he's a hegemon and it puts him in an evil light. And we'll get to that in a second here. He's an anointed, yes, anointed by Satan, and Jesus was not a igumenu. He was not a hegemon. He never led anybody. He was crucified, and it was the end. Well, it was the end, but he was not a hegemon. And then it continues, and he says 7 periods of 7. This is sometime in the future, towards the end of time. Right before that, this will tell you where the end is, and it hasn't happened yet. You can sit there and try to figure this all out from the time that it said when you go rebuild Jerusalem until Messiah is coming. It's just not it. And 62 periods of 7. Again, the wall. And the square and the wall shall be built in straits of time. So the straits of time means it's going to be a time of, what would you call it? A strait is it's a nautical term when you have a piece of land on two sides like this, and the old boats in the old days didn't have motors. They had to go in. The wind was coming straight down the channel, and you had two solid objects, and you wanted to get up, then you had to call what they call tack, and you go back and forth, and you tack into the wind. But as soon as you hit over here, you had to go back, and you hit here, and if it's really narrow, then they called that the straits. You were in the straits. It was, and this is straits of time. It's going to be the time of the end, the Antichrist, the beast. All of this is going to be happening when this is going on. And after the 62 periods of 7s, and this is 62 periods, where they come up with years, I don't think that's at all. I think it's a period of 62 periods of 7 days, and we call it a week. But that's what it is. So you can figure out how much time that is by multiplying. 62 periods of 7 is 434 periods, and that's 36 years, 36.16. It's mentioned twice. And the anointing, the charisma, shall be utterly destroyed. It's not utterly destroyed. Christ is still there. And the judgment is not in him. In who? In the hegemon. Something is going to happen that to them it's going to be bad. And the city, Jerusalem, and the holy place, he shall corrupt with the one, the igumeno. So this he, who is the he? The beast from the land, the beast from the sea. We could sit there and study that all day long. But he shall corrupt with the one taking the lead, the igumeno, the hegemon, ruler. So it's going to be a ruler and a spiritual type of evil spiritual type of a being, and they're going to corrupt. Jesus didn't corrupt. And the one coming, whoever that is talking about, and they shall be cut off as in a cataclysmo. We have a cataclysm, as in a flood. They're going to be cut off. It's not Jesus being crucified. And until he shall order extinctions until the end being terminated. He shall order in extinctions until the end of war being terminated. Jesus didn't do extinctions and these kinds of things, but this being is going to be doing that. It's going to be doing terrible things that are going to be causing war and this extinction. And he shall strengthen covenant with many for one period of 7, that's 7 weeks maybe, and in the 3.5, a period of 7, shall be lifted away sacrifice and libation offering, okay? So there was some type of possibly a temple, and there was sacrifices and libation. It was rebuilt because it said that Jerusalem will be rebuilt at that time, and upon the temple, an abomination of the desolations. There it is. This is what Jesus is saying is in the future from Jesus. It hasn't happened yet. It's nothing to do with the time of Christ. It has to do with the future, and we haven't seen it yet. This is a future event that's going to happen. It's got to be. This all falls into place, and we'll see it. And Jesus mentions this. When you see that, then take off, because it's going to be a bad time because of the terrible things that are going on in Israel, and the beast coming and putting up his tabernacle there in his kingdom and reign in the things that he does. And until the completion of time. See, the completion of time, this is right near the completion of time. Completion shall be given unto the desolation. Well, the desolation of Jesus, and none of that is stopped in time. There's no completion to the desolation. It's going to happen again. Jerusalem will be destroyed, and somewhat destroyed, maybe not completely, but then it'll be rebuilt. And then when that happens and this whole thing comes in, and we're given all the dates and the times, and you that are here or listening to this will know exactly what's going on. We here in 2017 have been taught other things, that trying to figure this all out. Books have been written, but I don't believe any of them are right. I think that what I'm bringing out is the way it's going to be. Now, I've studied the Bible for 30 years, and I've translated the whole Old and the New Testament word for word. So the people that have come up with all these different scenarios how much have they done of the Word? What do you know? And do a little investigation and find out what they know about the Word and how much they know about the Word, and compare it. And that's what Daniel said to do. And so do it. And God bless you for doing it. And we're going to go into the next chapter here, and it gets into a very confusing chapter on the king of the north and the south. And I'm going to try to put that into some type of a picture with the lines for where all these people are going, because it's just really convoluted to try to figure this all out. People have tried to make this all King of the North, Antiochus Epiphanes, and Cleopatra, and all this stuff, and that's just not going to be it. It's something in the future, and we don't know, but we'll go through that in the next chapter, and I hope you'll join us. Pretty exciting stuff. God bless.